So let's talk about dementia and when it comes to church, because it is a disease that as you get older, it's almost more feared than cancer. And as the population ages, more people are succumbing to dementia. In Nottinghamshire, a local church has been looking into how they can help people who have the condition. Well, this week, St Andrew's in Mansfield Road is being launched as the first dementia-friendly church in the Diocese of Southwell and Nottingham. Well, with me in the studio, I'm joined by Nicola Voce, who's a member and whose husband has dementia, and also Paul Howard, who's being described as a dementia champion for the diocese. And good morning to both of you.
I'm glad you put champion on
champion on the end, exactly. And Nicola, let's start with you. Your husband developed dementia at quite an early age.
Yes, he was 52. He's 63 nearly now.
Yeah. And how was that? What were the kind of the first signs that you were seeing?
Odd behaviour mostly, rather than forgetfulness. It's quite easy to focus on forgetting things when you think of dementia, but no, it was more like putting his watch on wrong and not knowing how to do everyday tasks, really. And in fact, it was on a parish weekend with church friends that they noticed things, and a couple of people separately said to me, "Oh, is Steve all right?" And I've been noticing stuff at home as well, and that's what took us to the doctor.
And that diagnosis, when you got it,
yeah,
explain to me that.
Well, it's so drawn out. You sort of easing your way towards hearing it in a sense. Even though he was young, it was definitely one of the things on the table. So I think we'd started to think that, oh, it might be this anyway. So there was no sort of blind moment of panic and, oh, crikey. It was more, oh, right, it is that then.
And you and your husband are church goers.
Yes.
Did he go to church? Does he go to church?
He doesn't now. He's in a care home, and he's actually bedridden now, so he couldn't. There is a service that takes place at the home once a month that he used to attend, but again, he can't make that now, really.
And during his early stages of dementia, how was the church experience for him?
To be honest, he was able to function relatively normal in that sense, although he did struggle with social situations. So with it being obviously a place where there's more people, that could be an issue. And thankfully we knew everybody there quite well, so I was able to brief them on sort of how to talk and not talk to him, as it were.
Yeah.
Not too many questions and not finishing a sentence for him and giving him time to talk, really. But yeah, no, I mean, it was an understanding place because it was our regular church anyway, so that was helpful.
Paul, I'll bring you in now because you have been given this role as of dementia champion. We'll use the champion word again in the diocese. And Nicola, the story that she's telling there about her husband and about how he was going through dementia and what his needs were. I mean, what's the church doing? What's the diocese doing as a whole to help those who have dementia?
Well, we're trying to educate, if you like, churches into being dementia friendly. This is our first crack at it, as it was at St Andrews. So really what we're saying to people is what we should already be doing in church. We should be in that welcoming place. And we're just trying to bolt this onto the end of it, really, to say these are some issues around dementia that you might come across. And we're asking them, really, churches to do very small changes around their building. Things like signage, yes, we've got a sign saying the toilet, but have we got a sign saying this is back into church? Because if you've got dementia, you may well get in a toilet and then don't know where you're going. So there's simple things like that which really help. And I think just to change people's attitudes, when if somebody is in their congregation and they do kick off, then somebody who's got to be understanding about that and not tut. We have a lot of tutting in church. We notice. No, not ours. But and we do work hard to be like kid friendly. And if the church is kid friendly, then they can be dementia friendly. That's what I think.
It's quite interesting because I think many people who are listening to this would think it's a bit late for the church to suddenly start doing this. Why is they only just, dementia has been around obviously for quite a long time. The rise in dementia has been around for quite a long time. Is it a bit late to start all of this?
You're never too late. Better late than never. I think when I've worked with older people for the last 20 years, so dementia memory loss to me has been every day. But I think it's become the sort of the latest fad from the government or whatever. So that's why we're talking about it. But I think we've all lived with it, and I think we also we've been doing a lot of work around opening minds with mental health stuff, and this is the same thing, because it's a mental health problem. People are embarrassed about it. People don't talk about it, and that's, I think, for us is worse.
Nicola, go.
I was just going to say, and also, one reason I wanted to do this at our church was I do consider that we're already quite dementia friendly, so really it's just shouting about it, letting people know that we do understand, and yes, they can come.
I mean, Paul said something there that was a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but there is a lot of tutting in church, as in, if somebody is being quite loud, if they're being a bit disruptive because of their condition, then sometimes you get the tut. Did you ever experience?
I didn't experience that, thankfully. I think anywhere you're going to get everybody. I mean, I just find in general public, people will look at people who are different. That just happens because they're looking. I actually have always made a concerted effort not to do that, but everyone's different. But I think if that did happen, if they just know that, well, a couple of people might have done that, but the rest of them are all rallying around to help, and I know they understand, sort of thing.
Yeah. And this is the first church. How quickly before there'll be others opening, do you think, or others just kind of changing their ways a little bit?
Yeah, we've done a survey across the churches just to see what amounts of or percentages of the congregation which may have memory loss problems. It isn't massive, but we have churches who have one or two members in their congregation who have dementia or are carers of people with dementia. So therefore, they're the ones that we're talking to now about becoming our next dementia-friendly church. And I think also we're talking to a deanery about doing a dementia-friendly deanery, which would probably be a group of people who would be willing to go to churches to give them some advice and some help.
Paul Howard, thank you very much. Nicola Voce, thank you for coming in today. 27 minutes past 8 now. You are listening to BBC Radio Nottingham on this Sunday morning.